I actually had this conversation even on my TikTok that I'm scared to have another child. People thought I would really know how to raise a child because I'm a doctor. But I feel like as a woman, we have a lot of limitations when it comes to family planning. Because, your man can plan the family with you, but he can leave the child at home.
Hello and welcome to Life Lately, a podcast where we explore and dive into real conversations on relationships, parenthood, fashion, as well as life real challenges. My name is Nozipho, and I am so excited to go on this journey where I get to share with you my life experiences, but also have conversations with my guests that are also just trying to navigate through this thing called life, okay? So on this podcast, we laugh, we cry, we have authentic conversations, and we just grow together. So if this is your community, please make sure that you subscribe as well as comment in the comment section below. So today, I am joined by the beautiful Dr. Katlego Lekalakala. She calls herself a health promoter. Or health educator, am I right?
More health promoter, although it is an actual job. So I don't want to say that I'm accredited for that. I am a medical doctor by profession, and I love to use my platform to promote health and wellness in different ways.
Yeah.
So whether it's your actual physical health or your mental well-being. And I think I also contribute to it with the laughs. I'm quite a humorous girl.
I know. We've had a few giggles ever since you got here.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess, yes, that's why I call myself a health promoter. But I do want to say it is an actual accredited job. And there are people that have actually been licensed to do that work.
True. Mm-hmm. Who is Katlego? Who is Dr. Katlego Lekalakala?
Funny that you're asking me that. Well, obviously you were going to ask me it. But I mean, I've been thinking about who am I a lot from when I turned 30, because I've been saying to myself that, I want my mind to be a home that I'm comfortable in. And with that comes decisions about who I am. So who am I? I am very funny. I love that about myself. I am very family orientated. I am a mom, and I think that's part of my personality now.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, being a mom is my personality. And I'm from Pretoria, and I love being from Pretoria. I love, my childhood. And yes, professionally, I'm a medical doctor. I'm a content creator, podcaster, as well as a digital opinion leader.
And soon to be wife.
Soon to be wife. Yes. That's also very big.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's really huge.
How's the wedding coming along? Plans?
So the plans are in motion. Okay, so they said in motion.
Okay.
I am getting a little bit scared about the whole thing. At times, like, I have nightmares. I think you also probably went through this, right?
No.
You didn't go through the nightmares?
I was actually the calmest bride.
So I want to be very calm, right? I'm speaking to myself every day about that.
So on my wedding, let me tell you a story. On my wedding day, I was 29 when I got married.
Yeah.
And on my wedding day, we got there. Our wedding was supposed to start at 12. My husband and I, we got there like 15 minutes before, and the groomsman comes and they're like, your husband wants to start the ceremony now at 12 and everybody hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah.
And he was just like, Mina, I'm a time person, so if they don't get you on time, because we had booked for all our guests at a place in Durban where we had all of them stay over. So there was no reason that everybody was running late. However, we found ourselves with that. And a friend of mine comes to the bridal suite and she's like, hi, well, no one's drinking champagne here. You don't have nerves. And I said, no, I didn't even have what is this, a wedding planner. I didn't have it. I did all of that by myself. And my wedding was
all
big.
on your own.
All on my own.
How many people did you have?
Okay, my wedding, the wedding was small because we had 100 guests, which included the service providers as well.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But we had a huge traditional wedding. So we
Yeah.
had the traditional wedding in May, and then the actual white wedding in September the same year. So
That's a lot.
yeah, I made my mom. I said to her, "Listen, go crazy for the traditional members." I said, "Zisanganise mema wonke umuntu owakwaba khona emhlabeni." And then for the white wedding, we had 100 guests. 75 were from my husband's side, and then because I don't have colleagues or anything like that, so
Yeah.
we had 25 from my side. I think barely. So it was like 100 and something.
So it was intimate, but not really that
Yeah.
intimate. Yeah. So that is actually one of my fears, that people won't arrive on time for the ceremony. And I think, like, I don't know why. People are very focused on the reception. I've made that mistake as well, though, I must say, right? But the wedding actually is the ceremony.
I love
And
the matrimonials.
yeah,
That's
the
my favorite
matrimonial is the
part.
most important things.
That's my favorite part.
Yes, that's how you actually know. That's the wedding. That's what brings the two people together. So, I'm praying that my guests are on time.
Note,
Side
people.
A, okay. But yeah, so I think I'm stressed out because we have both our weddings in the same weekend.
Okay.
So we have the traditional on the Friday, and then our white wedding on a Sunday.
Okay.
And then we leave for our honeymoon literally the Monday
Oh my
of.
God.
So it feels like a lot of things are
Happening in one weekend.
in one weekend, right? And I'm quite a planner, and yes, to some degree, I'm a perfectionist. So I'm really afraid that things won't go exactly my way. People have already told me,
It
calm
won't.
down, it won't.
It won't.
And I do have a planner.
No, it won't go your way, even if you do have a planner. But hey, we're not trying to focus on all of that. It's going to go the way that it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So don't be a bridezilla. Enjoy your beautiful day, because you're just going to be like, what did I miss? I missed this. I missed that moment. You missed this. Do I remember my vows? I had to get my phone and be like, okay, I want my vows.
Wait, do you want it to memorize them?
Well, my husband memorized his, and
No way.
his were way better than mine, and I had mine on
that's
my
so cute.
phone. And everyone was just like, he kicked your ass, and I'm just like, and I had mine on my phone, and still.
So I actually want to kick my man's butt, but I think he will kick my ass
Yeah,
with
sure,
it. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So you know what? My son is actually 11 years. There's an 11-year gap between him and the twins, because we did IVF for
Okay.
the longest time. And when I saw Clueless moms, I was like, I don't need this. I've been a mom before. And then I went back to your page when I had the twins. I was like,
Are
"Whoa,
you
let me find this
serious?
girl again," because wow,
Are you serious? That really touches my heart.
Clueless moms.
Is a thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I'm very proud of Clueless Moms. I didn't put it in my Who Am I, but yes, I am the founder of Clueless Moms. And yes, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's really amazing when I get to sit with somebody that has been impacted by the platform, because it reminds us every day how important community
Yeah.
is, but also how important it is for somebody to say that I feel clueless.
No, we are
That
clueless.
it doesn't matter. Like, people thought I would really know how to raise a child because I'm a doctor. I'm like, a doctor, like treating somebody and parenting them are totally different things. I feel like motherhood is a condition, by the way, I must say. It's a condition,
I've
right?
never heard anyone
It
say
needs,
that before.
yes, it has its own set of rules and its own policies. And there's so much that needs to go into understanding what it means to be a mother. And there's so many effects that come from being a mother, positive, by the way, also. I think people always think that, when we have these open conversations about motherhood, that we fear mongering. But no, there are definitely positive aspects to it. Definitely, I would be a mother any day, like again, But I think it's very important that we do have platforms where we can have these holistic conversations, right? And then somebody who is learned, which is from my perspective, can come in and say, hey, I'm clueless, but I'm willing to clue myself up. And that's actually what also Clueless Mom is built on, that, I use experts to come in and share information. I do a lot of reading so I can share evidence-based information to support moms, and so that they also feel that they have access to that to that information so they can advocate for themselves. I think agency in terms of being a mother is very important, because that's something that you also want to give to your child. If you're not confident in making decisions, then it makes it very difficult for you, So yeah, that's why it's quite important.
How did you come about it? Like, I'm so intrigued.
Really?
Yeah.
So I had just No. Yeah, I just announced that I was pregnant because I kept my pregnancy a secret in a way for some time. And that was because I was dealing with a lot of complications. I had a lot of complications. But I talk about this on every podcast, so I think people are bored of hearing this. But yes, I had a lot of complications. And they were very unnerving. And during that time, I feel like, as Africans, as Black people, I feel, and I can only speak for us because I'm Black. I can't speak for other cultures, but I know in our culture it's very normal that you isolate yourself when you have problems. You mustn't tell the world. People mustn't get involved. It's like there's so much secrecy and so much of treating pregnancy as so sacred that you end up being isolated. I'm not saying it's not sacred. It is, but it's to a certain degree where you can't have an open conversation about like, I'm really struggling right now. I need to get a stitch on my cervix to keep my child in. I can't really have this conversation with anybody. Nobody in my family really understands what I'm going through because I'm the first to go through this. So once my child was safe, according to in medical terms, right? Once she was at a safe point, then I started to share about my pregnancy. I had received permission from my parents, and from that and how I was sharing about it and sharing about the isolation, people just started coming in and they were like, yeah. And I kept saying the word, I feel so clueless. I feel so clueless. And then other moms were like, I also feel clueless. And then we became the
We don't know
clueless
what
moms.
we're doing. We literally, I always say we are flying blind when we become parents because there is we can write and read as many books as we can, but I really feel like there is no book, there's no manual to get parenting right. I've had children. My eldest son is 21 and my youngest is 3. So when I had the twins, I thought, I've done this parenting before. But my guy, I was not ready for the twins, okay?
Who is ready for twins?
I wasn't ready for the twins.
How old are they now?
The twins are 4.
What? Oh, they're the same age as Nia.
Yes.
Oh, they're Nia's friends.
Yeah, they're Nia's friends.
Oh, they should come together.
Cute.
Nia has twin friends. And watching my friends raise twins, how did you do it?
I don't know. And I've got literally triplets because when the twins were 3 months, I found out that I was pregnant with Bukosi. I know. It's lockdown.
Okay, but you spoke about IVF.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, now I'm going to interview on your own podcast.
Cool.
You spoke about IVF, but so did you do IVF for both the pregnancies?
No. So we struggled for like 6 years to conceive, like naturally conceive, like we struggled. And then we decided because we've had children before, naturally.
Sorry, guys. Husband. I forgot to tell him that I'm here.
So because we had natural conceptions, right?
Yeah, you're correct.
We thought, it's going to be easy. And then we were married. We were like doing this thing right. We were like, okay, we're planning right. And no, it wasn't happening. We first miscarried. And that's something else that no one prepares you for, And then I found out that I had cysts. So now we had to start taking care of my body because every time we would go for scans, we would find that I've got cysts. And I know that you also speak on cysts and fibroids a lot and educating women. And for me, I had to have 2 laparoscopies and only to find that those were not even necessary. I could have just taken antibiotics and they were not so big because I know you measure them, right? They get measured.
Yeah.
And so I wasted a lot of money and time doing all of that. And then eventually we said, no, let's do IVF. And then, so I had a lot of unsuccessful rounds of IVF.
How many?
Lots.
Wow. And that must have been quite a bumpy ride for you. So, but then how do you get to a place of feeling okay when a reality that you felt was possible was not possible? Because, I mean, like, you've had children before. Yeah. Like, I think it would trip me up that, like, I can conceive. Now, why all of a sudden is this happening?
I didn't even know of such a thing called secondary infertility until I was trying for the twins. And that's when you can't conceive naturally. You're the doctor. You know these terms.
But you know, too. So it means that the person who was caring for you actually took the time to educate you, which I love.
No, I read. Yeah. My husband and I read a lot. So also with the last successful round, what helped was that we used to be like to our specialists, can we try this? Can we try that? And for us, funny enough, we were always doing fresh embryo transfers all along. And then one time we lost a natural pregnancy. I think that year I was turning 33, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna be 35 soon. And you know how they make us spin our minds and think that after 35 and it's not possible. And I went to see my gynae just for a checkup and a pap smear, and he was just like, you know what, there's a doctor right here in Durban that you can trust. A client of mine or a patient of mine is 40 carrying twins. And I just speak on it later on at dinner. I said to my husband, oh, by the way, the doctor said this, and like, we can go try. And I'm like, but we've been everywhere in the world, and you telling me that the person's right here down the road that could help us, and it really did. When we went to consult this doctor, he was so nonchalant, my guy. And I was like, I don't like this guy.
I love how you always say my guy.
Sorry.
Do you get that from your teenagers? I love it.
Because I'm trying to be a cool mom. So this guy says, because people always DM me, I hope y'all are listening now, okay? So the doctor I see was like, so how many children do you want to have? And I said, I still want to have quite a few, because my husband and I together, we only had one. And we said, we still want to have quite a few. And he said, okay, so how I'm going to do it is that we're going to do egg retrievals, retrieve all the good quality eggs, freeze them until we're happy with those, and then relax your body. Because when you do IVF, your body goes through a lot of trauma. You know, relax your body, and then when we have prepared you back to now do the embryo transfer, then we're gonna. I said, this could take so long, and that's when we were just like, you know what, let's enjoy the boys, because we had the 4 boys and Coco then, and we said we'll just let it take its course.
Beautiful big family, hey?
Yeah, and then and then we did 2 egg retrievals. And then as we're preparing my body for a transfer just before COVID, the government, the president announced COVID, the clinic says, no, we can't transfer because of lockdown. And I said, okay, so God, what are you doing? And we don't know how long COVID was for. We didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, it was such a scary time. That's when we conceived Nia, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I see the timing.
Yeah.
And then it was lifted, and then my clinic said, listen, we can transfer your eggs now from the clinic. Can you come and prepare? And we had been reading all along, so we did something called the endometrial scratch.
Yeah.
Where they just scratch your surface of the uterus, just create like a little pocket. And we did that, and it was painful, but I was like, it's worth it. I'm going to conceive. And then both the embryos took.
That is so beautiful. At least it didn't split into 6.
No.
Because that can happen.
Stop. At my grown age, I was going to die.
Oh, that's such a blessing. And then you naturally conceived your next child. Okay. So maybe you were meant to go through that journey for a story. And yeah, to help somebody out there. Yeah, I think that's really amazing.
I hear from people a lot who suffer from fibroids, and they always think that it's not possible to conceive. I fortunately never had fibroids, but I had really, really, even right now, you know, I was happy that we were going to talk about cysts and women's health, because as I was going for my checkup now recently, you know, my doctor was like, you still need your womb. And I said, I don't know. No,
that's not, another conversation, yes, right? Your attachment to your womb.
Yes, not because I still want to have kids, but you know, when somebody says you still need your womb, because now I keep getting cysts and I'm on contraceptives just for the cysts. I'm not on contraceptives for the purpose of contraceptives, but I'm on the contraceptives because of the cysts. And so I know women struggle a lot. Like, educate us, please, because
so women do, but I think firstly, I just need to also just debunk that contraceptives. So yes, the pills that are used to basically stop pregnancy aren't just used for that. You know, it's hormonal treatment, so it can be used for anything else. I just want to say this because a lot of people then struggle with using birth control pills, or because they called birth control pills because of that wording, you know, because of contraceptives. I mean, the other day I had a conversation with somebody who didn't want her daughter to go on a contraceptive because she was just worried that it would mean that now she's giving her a pass to have sex. So I think it's very important that people understand that contraceptives actually live under a family of hormonal therapy as such, because hormones can drive some certain conditions, right? Hormones can drive a fibroids and so forth, and also just controlling those hormones, it can help with assisting with those issues like PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is quite a prevalent one, right? And that one can make you. That's one of the most popular, or let me not say popular. Sorry, I have to wrap that up. That is one of the most common causes for infertility because you don't ovulate, right? Yeah, so you miss your ovulation. You have irregular periods, you miss your ovulation, and that's because your hormones are not balanced as they should be. And then that's when you need that hormone treatment, right? Which not for everyone is great.
Is that where when you get progesterone? No, that's another thing.
No, that's another thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, you are right.
Yeah.
You are right. So you get hormone treatment. It will depend on what they find when they do your labs and so forth. And most of the time, if you're really being managed well, you might even go to an endocrinologist.
Sure.
Who is responsible for the hormone treatment. So it's not just like a gynecology condition or managed condition, right? Because it affects all kinds of parts of you, right? Besides the fertility. I mean, PCOS is, it's quite a big one, and I'm glad that you want to have conversations about that, because I think for a lot of women who are living with PCOS, it can be quite an isolating condition, even though it's common, because your experience with it can be so different and so unique and require different things, and hormone treatment is actually not working for you, or it's causing these other issues. But speaking about fibroids, actually, my sister-in-law actually had a huge problem with fibroids, but we were so happy that after the age of 40, she naturally conceived a baby.
It's funny, hey?
Yeah, it was such a blessing.
No, I don't want those. I don't want the naturally. I'm done.
No, so she didn't have a child at all.
I
So
know.
it was so beautiful for her to actually have that opportunity.
Yeah.
That child is such a blessing to all of us. So
guys.
I really love that you're having these kinds of conversations, because there are people like her, who can be a marker of like hope, of maybe
But
it is
also,
something possible.
society makes us, sorry to cut you, Katlego, society makes us think that over the age of 35, you cannot conceive. It's called what again? Geriatric pregnancies.
Yeah, geriatric
my
pregnancy. You do a lot of reading, by the way. You
I
really
almost said,
do.
my guy.
Yes. So this body clock thing is, it's something that we need to work on in terms of addressing. Yes, it is true that, the older you are, the more complications that you could experience. You could. Okay, you could. And that's the operative word. Some people have seamless pregnancies, right? But it creates some sort of a pressure. I actually feel like I'm under that pressure right now, to be quite honest with you.
Do you want to have more children?
Yes, I do. I genuinely do. But I feel like as a woman, we have a lot of limitations when it comes to family planning. Because, your man can plan the family with you, but he can leave the child at home, or he doesn't have to walk around with a pregnancy belly, right? That is going to limit the amount of opportunities he has in terms of his career. I mean, if you had to look for a job with a huge pregnancy belly, whether you can do the job or not, it's not even, considered. So that for me is quite a big deal.
Funny you say that about limitations for women. I think sometime last year, there's this family in Atlanta. I think they used to call themselves a family of 6 or a mom or something like that. They had 6 kids, okay? And I saw this guy do a TikTok saying, you know what, ladies, it's so sad to see this family going through a divorce. And the children are like this close to each other, like Istepi or bra. And
I think I know that family.
Yes, and I heard this guy say
Kate plus 8.
I can't remember which one it was, but
Yeah.
It stuck with me what the guy had said. He said it's important that women start realizing that it's their decision in marriages or relationship to have as many children as they can take care of individually. Should divorce happen, should death happen, should anything happen, that you know that you are going to be able to take care of these children by yourself.
But how would you know that?
I
I
know,
mean,
but
even
for
with
me-
one, it's tough.
My God, sorry, but for me that stuck, and I was like, this is so true. You know, I wanted more children, more than my husband did in the beginning, but and then he got sold with the idea of having more kids. But when I look now that I have to take care of these kids by myself, because I literally have triplets, and I'm struggling.
Yes, you do.
I'm really struggling. If it weren't for my older kids, my nanny, I do not know where I would be. It's easier because now I get to manage my own time, and I get to manage, you know, what I do work wise. But other people don't have that luxury.
They
You
don't.
know, so it is true what she was saying, that men really do have, you know, a better options than we do.
Yeah, I mean, for them, I mean, they plan the family, right, to extend their legacy, and yeah, that's for them. It's all good and dandy, and but you have to raise the children. Even if your man is very involved, like my husband is, he is an amazing father. Sometimes takes on way more than I do, like way more than I do. But there is an element where he cannot be involved. You know, he could not breastfeed. He could
Yeah.
not carry the
Yeah.
child. He could not birth the child. So I won't lie to you, that body clock age thing is sitting with me right now. It's something that I'm still grappling with.
How many do you want to have, realistically? Oh,
Only two.
okay.
Only two. But it's difficult to still say if I only want the two or if I want the one. Because I actually had this conversation even on my TikTok that I'm scared to have another child. Like, I find it so interesting that you were willing to do as much as you did. I would never. Never. I would be so afraid. I'm a medical person, but I don't like being in the medical system. I don't want to be scraped. I don't want to be open and prodded, and you know. So I really, and even with my pregnancy, I struggled with that because I had to be prodded so many times. I mean,
Yeah.
they had to put a stitch in me. I had to do so many tests. I had to do all kinds of, all kinds of things to protect that pregnancy.
Yeah.
So I think from that experience, I'm still quite fearful of doing it again. And also, we speak about miscarriages, right?
Yeah.
And miscarriages are really a thing. So I'm scared to put myself out there. That's just a reality of who I am. I don't want anyone to think that, if I actually do have my child, that was a very confident and bold state. No, it's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
And I even think that I might need therapy throughout it.
We can't think the worst. You know, we always have to be positive and
Someone
just
actually
trust
said
God.
that to me. Someone said that to me. She's like, stop looking at life from a place of scarcity. Start looking at it from abundance. And whatever happens, you have the opportunity to learn something
Yeah.
and to be a different person. And if you look at life from abundance, that person that comes out of that will always be better.
Yeah, I think for me also that is what I'm trying to do right now. I've always been a worst case scenario first.
Oh, girl.
I go worst case scenario first. My thoughts will run away with me until I'm just like, okay, maybe it will it will work out. So I'm also trying this year to think, what if it does? What if it does work out? What if, everything is as good as it's supposed to be? So we can't live life fearful, and we just have to enjoy life's blessings and God's blessings that He sends our way, but also just enjoy who we are, because life is not all about being a mom and a wife. That's what I'm learning now. I got judged a lot by the fact that people say that I lived for my kids, which I did and I still do, but I'm also learning now to just give myself some love and grace. And I see you working. I am trying to be a career woman now and try and do that. So how do you balance it? Before we wrap up, how do you balance life and planning the wedding and your family and all of that? Like, what about burnout? Like, how do you cope?
Yeah, so I don't always cope. That's very important to say, especially because I'm generally quite anxious. And I always feel like I'm running through a list in my mind the whole time. Best way for me to cope is to really take on my day the night before. So I plan well in advance for my days. Like today was quite a hectic day. To fit this into my schedule had to be pre-planned. So I also really appreciated, your team in making sure that, things are set in advance. There's good pre-planning. So yeah, that's very important to me. And also taking care of myself, taking time out helps me then feed into everything else I need to do. What I mean by that is if I don't fill my cup, then obviously I'm going out with an empty cup, right? And yeah, how are you going to do that? But then also community and the people that are supporting me. My husband is the biggest person, like the most important one I need to name because he's there every day. But everybody else as well who is committed to me being a better version of myself. And I think that's the most important thing, right? You need to have people around you that are committed to seeing you achieve what you need to achieve in your life. And they will help you. If they're committed as you are, they will help you. So that's that. And just the ambition and the fire to just want to do all these things.
I'm glad I finally met you, and I'm glad I got to personally say thank you for Clueless Moms. Like, you don't know what you did.
Oh, thank you.
You really don't know. I love Clueless Moms. We are clueless, but we're trying to figure it out. So if you are watching and this episode is part of the community that you want to be in, please make sure that you subscribe and you put your comments in the comments below. Thank you, Katlego, for joining us today. And you are so beautiful. All the best with the wedding. Don't be a bridezilla, and we can't wait to see all the content that you put out there.
Thank you so much. Bye.